Back in the garage, the write-off rebuild is rapidly becoming an unfinished project, as is true Chris style. Now, to be honest, you'll notice it doesn't look any different to the last time we finished one of these. We haven't done anything on it. We have been absolutely flat out throughout launch season, throughout these winter months, trying to get as much content with action going on that, weirdly, we haven't had time to be inside in the garage away from the rain, which is probably a good thing in some ways. But now we are back on this because I can smell spring coming, sort of, in among the raindrops, and I cannot wait to get this thing back out on the road. So today's job is don't leave the garage until this thing can be ridden. Look at the new spanner! It's like bigger than my shoulders. There's nothing to do with this bike. That's a 1 5/8 of an inch spanner that I got for doing a quad axle, but it is now my proudest possession. And also good for defending the garage. Can't stir your tea with it though. So we've got a few bits to fix, bodywork to go on, got some shiny bits. Our mates down south, Austin Racing, sent us this super nice end can. We did actually have a replacement silencer, but this one just looks a million times nicer. It's like a really cool matte finish. We're keeping the standard cat. I didn't want to make it stupidly loud, mainly because I want to use it as a road bike, and yeah, I don't want everyone to hear me coming from miles away. So nice little silencer, up the exhaust note a little bit, but without making it race bike loud, which was my plan. But these guys do some really, really fancy kit, so we shall definitely be hanging on to that for some future stuff. But little upgrade for the exhaust, new battery so it starts, oil filter, air filter, crash mushrooms so it doesn't ever get broken again, and then ride it. That's it. There's not that much to do. As usual, takes me a couple of minutes to say it. It's going to take a good few hours to do it. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight in and start doing the service. It has been sat, because I've got a new battery for it, I never bothered to leave this one on trickle charge, so may or may not fire. It's dead. Try again. So we got a BS battery to replace it. This is a wet fill battery, so if you've not done one of these before, it is worth, it's gonna sound like a boring old git here, but it's definitely worth reading the instructions, because if you don't prep them properly, they then last 6 months to a year and pack up. So there's a little bit of a procedure with getting the fluid into the battery, how long you have to leave it, and then checking the voltage before you charge it. It's a little bit more involved than just buying a sealed battery off the shelf, but these do last quite a long time. So if you prep it well, it will be good. So when you're prepping this little cap here that says "Do not open" is the cap that you will push onto the battery afterwards. So don't just throw it in the bin as you're prepping it. And then you pop that on the top of there. Push that firmly, and then you should see bubbles popping up in each of them. So leave that on there, give it 20 minutes, 20 past 11 now. Give it 20 minutes, leave it bubbling away, and then we'll come back to that and check the charge. Call in the boost pack, call in reinforcements, hopefully. Hey. She's alive! Alright, I'm warming it up because we're going to change the oil, and if you warm the oil up it gets thinner, less viscous, and comes out the engine easier, so it just makes it a little bit easier to change the oil, means you get the oil out quicker and a bit easier. Also, I'm warming it up because I want to do a sound comparison between the standard silencer and the Austin Racing one. Should probably open the door. While it warms itself up, I might as well find my way down to the air filter, which is underneath this front cover, so I can whack that in, It's a little bit of a tricky position on these. It's sort of slotted down and forwards, but get that changed, make it happier. I'm not going to actually remove the air filter panel itself while the engine's running, just in case I drop something down there. I don't want it going straight into the engine. That would be bad. Unlikely, but really bad if it did happen. Engine's nice and warm now, time for a quick sound check. So this is the standard silencer. Sounds a bit fruitier because the airbox is off, but this is what it sounds like at stock. Pretty good for a stock bike. Now time to burn the heck out of my fingers changing the exhaust. Out with the old. In with the new. Just slip it on for now so we can see what it sounds like. Look at that. Moment of truth. Does look gorgeous. I really like that. See how it sounds. Oh, nice. Perfect. Well happy with that. That, I'm going to say, is the right amount of noise. I was a little bit worried when I looked down the end of that that it was going to be insanely loud, but it's not. It's, yeah, I think the cat's holding back a decent amount of noise. So that's just a little bit prettier and a little bit fruitier than stock. Perfect. Let's get this air filter changed. That makes it easier. One air filter. Only slightly minging, but breathing in dust and gook is never good for an engine. So, yeah, even though it's only a bit gross, still going to change it. Now look, I reckon Gavin changed that in 2013. It's a little bit a while ago for an air filter change. Thanks, Gavin. Genuine BMW parts. Went fancy on this one. Again, not particularly much more expensive than a pattern air filter. Personally, I quite use both. I use High Flow Filtro quite a lot for air filters. They make decent stuff. If you want to upgrade it, you can obviously go K&N, pipe across any of that stuff, BMC. But for the little upgrade in price, the warm fuzzy feeling of having a genuine OE one, maybe it's worth it. I don't know. I've gone genuine this time. Certain things I'll always try and go genuine on, especially if they're more safety critical items, but something like an air filter, genuine on pattern, it's kind of alright. This was a fight to get out, and it's equally going to be a fight to get back in. Snorkel back in. I'm going to drop the oil now, which always involves getting boiling hot oil on my hand somehow and overflowing my drain can and it going all over the floor. I should buy a new drain can, but I never remember. Oh, I'm going to get away with it. Yes, survived. Didn't cover everything in oil. It's always worth having a look at the colour of the oil as well. I mean, we used Motul this time, did our oil analysis, which actually, for what it costs, is a really, really useful way of seeing the condition of your engine. Is it worth doing on a road bike every time you change the oil? Probably not. On a second-hand bike you've bought, it's good because it gives you an indication of the state of the engine, whether it's been hammered or wrecked or whether it's got a load of metal and swarf and stuff in it. If it was my race bike, I would absolutely do it. I would check the oil, you know, because I change the oil regularly on my race bike, so 2 or 3 times a season I would definitely send the oil off to Motul and get that little check done, because if you find out your engine's worn main bearings before they go, you can change them and do something about it. And okay, that's expensive to fix, but it's much cheaper to change the main bearings before they've knocked the crank out and before they've let go, and before you spent a load of money going to a race meeting only to DNF in the first race because your engine blew up. So yeah, for race bikes, for classic bikes, for an unknown project bike like this, I think that Motul oil analysis thing is a pretty useful thing to do. Or just chance it. You're cool. So Motul are a sponsor of the show. They're sponsoring these rebuilds in this series. They've actually invited us down to Goodwood to see the oil testing suite, which some of you might find really boring. I find very, very interesting because I'm sad like that. But yeah, just to see how they test the oils and how they can take a sample of oil from an engine and tell you whether it's about to blow up or not. So if you want to know more about that, stay tuned for that video. If you find that sort of thing as boring as watching paint dry, go and find a video of me doing wheelies instead. Now, the whole reason Motul got involved in this project in the first place is because we're taking a written off bike and bringing it back to life. And in the interest of recycling and not going on consuming stuff forever, they've come up with a recycled oil. So this is their Gen 7 stuff. It's 50% recycled high grade oil. And also the containers are 50% plastic recycled as well. I know it's not a sexy, exciting thing in motorcycle world, but if we can do our bit without causing any trouble, why wouldn't we? I know there's going to be plenty of people out there giving it the big, oh, I'd never put that in my bike, I only use fully synthetic, but on a modern motorcycle or modern vehicle, engines blowing up in road use, I don't know, never normally happens. So, you know, say that's not quite as fully protective as the fanciest fully synthetic, in the lifetime of this bike, I don't think that's going to make a difference. I don't know how to do this oil sponsorship thing. Am I supposed to do a special bottle hold where I sort of... Is that right? Am I doing it? Am I an influencer? Motul are pretty keen for us to use this oil on a bunch of stuff this year, so we're actually going to do some big long trips on it on adventure bikes. We're going to do some track days, some general abuse of engines, and do before and after oil analysis too, just to kind of see how it's working and see if it does make a difference what oil we use. Obviously it makes a small difference, but yeah, if we can use a recycled thing and still have as much fun and do as many wheelies, I'm all for it. So I've topped the oil up now, changed the oil filter as well, so I'm going to give it a little run up, get the oil flowing around the engine, and then I can recheck the level. Take that one off my list of jobs. Searching and trawling, we found an acid yellow RR panel. That was actually a pretty cool colour these came in. It's not going to match the rest of the panels, which is part of an ongoing saga of colour matching panels, but I think our plan with the bodywork, there's a few different ways of doing it. Painting it does kind of price it out of feasibility. I mean, I could spend 500 to £1,000 getting the whole bike painted, or painting a few panels to match others, and it would do it, but I kind of don't want to chuck that big chunk of money at the bike. Wrapping is always an option and gives you a really awesome looking bike. We may go down that route, but again, wrapping's not cheap. It's not a cheap alternative. I think my baseline plan for it is just to keep trawling eBay. Keep trawling eBay, keep trawling the Motormind parts site, and as panels of the right colour come up, snapping them up and gradually patchwork quilt it back into all being the same colour, one colour, which is the long game, but I think it's the most cost effective way of doing it, because then of course the panels that I've put on, I can put back on eBay. Moment of truth, be slightly mismatched side panel, but it is a side panel. Aha! And slowly it becomes a motorcycle again. So as advertised last time, I was going to buy some genuine BMW panels because they're not that expensive. So I did. I got A genuine unpainted BMW, left-hand side, nose fairing, and it's the right-hand side that's broken. Because I'm an idiot and I ordered the wrong one. So now, if anyone wants a left-hand side nose cone for their Gen 1 S1000 RR, send us a message because I've got a spare one, although I might just fit it because it's black. And B, I need to get a right-hand side one. So if anyone's got a spare right-hand side one, also let us know. And I shall go and kick myself for being an idiot. There's one thing that is really annoying about this generation of BMW is the oil filler cap is on this side and oil sight glass is on the other side. So you have to glug a load in, let it run out the funnel, then run around the other side and check the window. Irritating. But full of oil. This might look like shutting the door to the stable after the horse is bolted, putting crash mushrooms on a written off bike, but it's fixed now, so we don't want it to happen again. I'm hoping we never get to test these, but either way, the crash mushrooms should do a good job. We've got RNG case sliders, crash mushrooms, bar sliders. That's a good little bit of protection. This stuff as well, if you do something silly like drop it in a car park, it stops the horrible cracking noises and big damage. Hopefully I never have to test the crashing side of it, but if I do, at least it's there. Ta-da! I'm going to pop the lovely smelling cells off the top of the battery. Push these on the top. I'm not supposed to hammer these apparently because you'll break them. There we are. Out with the old and in with the new. It's an exciting moment. This is the exciting bit. Battery done. Fairing done. Indicators done. Side panel, belly pan, silencer done. Crash mushrooms done. So, we now have a working S1000 RR in one piece. There's a couple of caveats. I need to straighten the rear sprocket. Obviously, I need to replace it. I'm not going to be that much of a skinflint. So it needs to change the sprocket. It needs a set of tyres because the ones on it are toast. And that's all that's stopping me riding it now. Well, the bent sprocket probably won't stop me riding it, but maybe not when you guys are watching. It feels very, very good to have made so much progress and to have it back in one admittedly multicoloured piece. It's kind of got vibes of Johnny Cash's Cadillac at the moment, but I quite like that about it. One more episode to go on this. Next episode, we are going to ride it. So what's left to do is, like I said, tyre, change the sprockets, and then we might do a few other little mods, but next episode, I'm going to have a helmet on, it's going to be taxed, it's going to be MOT'd, and we're going to ride it, which I'm absolutely buzzing to do. Huge thanks to Motul for supporting the project with their regen oils. I really like the concept with a regen bike. And also, of course, to Motormine, who helped us sort the bike out and were a massive help in sourcing all the parts for it. And finally to Austin Racing for a little bit of tinsel, a little bit of ice and sugar on the top that's made it look and sound a bit cooler. And RNG, hopefully I don't have to put you to the test, but if I do, I've got the crash mushrooms there. I'm excited to go and ride this thing now, so I'm going to get ordering those last few bits, and then the next time you see us, we will be doing rolling burnouts on a cool bike that's somehow 14 years old.